I mean, quite frankly, I feel like it's quite apt considering when I spoke to you literally a week ago, actually, and talking about me, for some reason, choosing to listen to our review of The Last of Us Season 2, and I was down with a severe infection of cordyceps in my throat, and now here you are with us talking about 28 years later, the Bone Temple, and you may well have the rage virus. I can't tell, or maybe this is just
I'm
the
pretty
virus.
peeved, like, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Whether or not that develops into the rage virus or not, but I'm pretty damn pissed that I'm ill.
I mean, I don't believe this movie ever cut away to a shot of just like one of the infected just snoring a lot.
Yeah, there's not like a...
That's like the version of the movie
There's
that
not
I'd
exactly
make.
a scene to suggest that like the infection is just caused by having a really terrible cold.
Yeah.
It's 28 Bencham's maximum cold and flu tablets later.
Of which this episode is obviously sponsored by. Bloody Bencham's. That's very expensive. Ooh, this is a very expensive sponsor that we're not actually doing.
Hey, it does the job.
It does, yeah. But yes, welcome along everyone to episode 140 of The Real Podcasters, originally scheduled to be a retrospective on the 1997 science fiction classic Men in Black, and then Nia DaCosta graced us with the presence of a really good movie. Spoilers. We wouldn't be talking about it if we didn't like us. That was kind of the rule. We were just like, I'm not interested, just not interested at all.
It's either it's just one of two ways. If it's good, we'll talk about it. If it's rubbish, we'll not.
Yeah, or if it's so terrible, we've actually got something to say about it. That's not going to happen very often, to be honest.
It's happened once or twice in this podcast career.
Yeah, like I said, 140. Good lord. To do a bit of background, we did cover the last movie last year, 28 Years Later, directed by Danny Boyle. I have not gone back to that movie. I have not gone back to my review, and I have not gone back to this review. The latter is not shocking because I very rarely go back to these once I've listened to our voices 150,000 times before I can actually upload the damn thing. It's not fun. It's really, really rubbish, actually. I kind of went very sour on just the very concept of 28 Years Later, so I think even we both said, because I think we were both in the same boat, like in terms of our feelings on the movie. The choices made at the end of that movie, I was sat there thinking, right, this movie can do nothing but surprise me, because it somehow has to pick up the baton that is ninja dancing Power Ranger Teletubbies with a questionable leader based on a questionable person. Still don't really understand it even after this movie.
A lot of questionable things.
Yeah, questionables being generous without having to name drop
definitely.
them. Of which Regan didn't really clock until the review that we did last year, and I felt stupid. Like, you can feel ill today, I still feel stupid a year later, to be honest. I was like, oh yeah, obviously. It couldn't have been anything else. But anyway, so as ever with these movie reviews, I will, as ever, kick things off with my greatly not spluttering co-host, who's not who's not threatening to chase someone down like the end of a train because he hates the look of them. Dan, can you explain what's going on? What's going on with this
Doing
thing?
me damnedest. Well, basically, it's pretty much picking up with Spike now in what I'm going to say is the custody of Lord Jimmy Crystal and his gang of fingers. And unlike the last film, it is pretty much just set around human characters. There's really not a lot of stuff with the infected. It's only really with Samson, the hulking alpha, that we saw in quite a lot of detail in various aspects in the last film.
Extensive
Take that
detail.
as you will. Extended detail, you could say that, yeah.
Oh, extended detail. Oh, no.
You could say that, yeah. I think it's that this film runs in two ways. You've got the stuff with Dr. Kelson and you've got the Fingers gang. So it's almost like a two-parter, really.
I'll do my initial thoughts first, just so I can let your voice just sort of like take like a
Rest.
few. Yes, exactly. I'm being kind. Strange, really. So yeah, I ended up coming out of this movie being elated, to be honest. And the more I think about it, the more I'm loving the movie more. I think by the time it comes to the home release, it's probably going to be the movie in the franchise I'm going to watch the most. I think it's both the most standard film in the series, including 28 Weeks Later, I think. And also the strangest, I think, and perhaps even stranger than 28 Years Later. And that goes to some
bizarre.
places. Yes, it's a very bizarre movie.
That
I
one,
think
28 Years Later goes to some places, but this one just goes even further.
Yeah, and yet also it keeps it really small scale. Like, even the scale of 28 Years Later is, it's quite big.
Yeah.
This movie opts, like, right, we're in the middle of a trilogy, of which we don't even know if the trilogy is happening at the time of the film it. We do know it is now. Yes. So it's like, let's go smaller. Let's just be a bit more intimate, I suppose. And I think when you see the tagline of "Fear is the new faith," you can absolutely see exactly what it means. With both different stories relying on faith, whether it's a more religious, culty aspect, or it's the science sort of aspect.
Yeah.
And seeing them two cross paths is really interesting. I think any moments between, the few moments you get between Kelson and Jimmy Crystal, there's a good amount of tension, and it's surprising because, like, they're two very different characters. And while
I was honestly expecting one of them to just kill the other at any point during that time. I was honestly just expecting it.
Well, exactly, because Jack O'Connell in this, I referenced him when we did our Best and Worst of 2025 episode because he was in Sinners. He was one of the best movies of the year. He's 2 for 2 on the sadistic monster of a villain after Sinners, and now 28 years later, The Bone Temple. He is magnificent in this movie. I love to despise him. Like, he is the just
you kind of
utterly
sat there
vile.
sitting in the cinema saying, God, you're a bit of an evil bastard, like, aren't you?
Just like a smidge, just like a little bit.
Just a tiny bit, whether it's, deciding if people need charity or...
Which, I think as soon as you said that, I was like, now I get it.
Yeah. Not my idea of charity, Jimmy Crystal, not my idea of charity.
Definitely not. But I think just seeing how he commands the room and sort of like seeing how his little subordinates are, and how easy it is for him to just spout a load of nonsense and they'll just like, we'll buy it immediately.
Buy it.
Hits quite hard to home these days in a few different scenarios, but again, we don't need to get into that. We really don't need to, other than it feels very real, which is what most of these movies have felt, which is good. I think visually as well, the film is stronger than 28 Years Later. Like, I appreciated the attempts at making it feel not necessarily grounded, but just a bit more haphazard by having like an iPhone as the camera.
Yeah.
But it also just kept on pulling me out quite a bit. Especially the stupid sort of like bullet time crap that Danny Boyle did in the last one. Like, it's not in here, thank God. This feels more like a film, and I'm sure we had that conversation after we watched 28 Weeks Later, where I was like, it's so weird to see 28 Days Later and it feels so completely unique, and then 28 Weeks feels like the Hollywood approach. It's kind of the same thing here, but
that's what we said. It's just basically
Hollywood.
like, well, it's just an Americanized 28 Days Later.
Mm-hmm. And
which it absolutely is.
Yeah, and despite this being helmed by an American director, in this case Nia DaCosta, who did such a good job with Candyman a couple of years ago, one of the best things in this film, frankly, is just that. But also just the exploration of how, not necessarily how the rage virus works, and just finally acknowledging that, maybe we should actually go and look for a cure of some description.
I tell you what really got me was just how the infected see the world around them. That's what just intrigued me so much.
Mm-hmm.
I thought, okay, you've just nailed it here. And the whole cure thing, I'm like, it's interesting the fact that like it's just up to an ex-GP to come up with a cure. I'm just like, yeah, do you know what it is? I buy it. I don't see anyone else doing anything. Everyone else is either in a cult or dead.
Yeah, I did chuckle a couple of times when he references essentially like God bless the NHS and stuff. I was like, yeah, yeah, you really should have put with swords.
Yeah, I came out of it really, really overjoyed, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
I just felt so happy, actually, because I was really quite nervous, just not hoping that it would be like another addition to just like was just so much going on that I don't understand, and just end it on such a strange high note. So I thought, well, and there's just so much, like, I mean, the only thing I'd really say I'm not too keen on is the whole Samson becoming human again. But then again, you know, we're not really dealing with like undead, and again, there's this whole like debacle of you know, are the 28 days zombies actually zombies? Because to me, zombieism is about becoming undead.
Mm-hmm.
These people are infected. They're still alive. So when he sort of becomes a bit more human and actually speaks and things, I'm like, I don't know actually how I feel about this. Like, on the one hand, I see it how it is, but on the other, I'm like, well, this is just strange now. Like, there's a whole sequence where he's just so drugged up that he starts, like, going back into past memories, which I admit is really cool, because he's starting to remember who he was, who he is. And I thought at the same time, this is just bizarre. But I really liked it, and I'm pretty excited to see how it's all going to conclude.
I mean, fingers crossed it's solid. I mean, we got Danny Boyle coming back, so as long as he doesn't bring back the iPhone, that's fine.
Hopefully not. No.
Hopefully not.
Hell, maybe he'll come back with the Pixel 11, maybe.
At that point, I'll be fine. It's a cracking camera. Well,
yeah,
9 is. I can't speak about the 11 because it doesn't exist yet.
Right, so not out yet. Yeah.
Not quite. We'll do our full discussion now. I do want to talk about Samson first. I think I had like Jimmy and the Fingers first. I do actually want to reference Samson because it does seem like we might be on slightly. I'm not gonna say opposing sides when it comes to the Alpha in this case, because obviously we see quite a bit of him. He's quite a large amount. In 28 years later. Just Danny, what you doing? Anyway, the first time you see Samson in this movie and he's hunting humans, I think I did I think I did speak on this one, and I used the quote from Kelson on my review on Letterboxd, with when the infected attack, what do they see? Yeah. And I was convinced that when you kind of see from Samson's perspective what he sees in every single human that he's hunting, and I guess every infected does for everyone else, is they see the non-infected version of themselves.
Right.
Which riles them up and gets them rageful, makes them angry. Which is why they absolutely yeet towards everyone. It's kind of like
that's putting it pretty bluntly, but yeah.
it's like the more serious version of what you see in the Suicide Squad with Polka Dot Man, where he just sees his mother everywhere.
You see that? That's your mom.
It's your mom. I'm just picturing Samson to be like, "It's me." At least I'm pretty sure.
Okay, so since when did Samson become Scooby-Doo?
I wouldn't even hear it, to be honest. So once I saw that, immediately I thought, okay, we might not get as much sequences with the infected as we did in the last movie.
But I like that though, because it's.
Oh yeah, I do as well.
I just like it how it's just from the human standpoint, because it's like, well, you're more interested, especially when I see zombie stuff. I mean, yeah, zombies and stuff are great, but I'm more interested in how the humans adapt to a world that's overridden with these monstrous beings. I'm still not 100% sure if how I feel about like the variants of the infected. I know I had more of an issue with it in the previous film where there was like 73 different kinds of it.
Yeah, there's less of that in this movie. It's actually just
I think the only time is
Alpha.
you've literally got the alpha and you've got the weird screaming thing.
Yeah. I can't even remember if we even spoke about that in the last one. I mean, it does feel like a video game mechanic more than anything else.
Yeah,
I don't think it works in a movie. Because then I'm sat there thinking, right, so why is it that when you get infected, you become this big, giant, slug-eating thing?
Yeah.
And then you become an alpha? Like, how... What in the virus decided you get that?
What in the absolute Jurassic World universe is going on here?
Yes, it's exactly like that. So, the exploration of seeing if there is actually a cure... This franchise is kind of afforded... the option to tell that story, because it's like you say, it's whether or not you can call these infected really zombies, because they're not dead. They're still humans that have just been infected. Yeah. So all of a sudden, the idea of searching for a cure feels quite logical. And initially I was thinking to myself, why is it taking 28 years for someone to finally find a cure? But I thought, actually, that actually makes perfect sense. Because you look at the way this franchise has progressed, you look at 28 days later, it's still chaos. You might as well be in the first few weeks of the movie like A Quiet Place. No one's figured out what to actually do yet. They're just running on fumes and just figuring out whatever. 28 weeks, I can't remember. By the time you get to 28 years later...
28 weeks is, you know, many people have said it, but basically the whole thing could have been prevented if that kid just wasn't such a little shit. The whole thing could have been prevented.
Yeah, I suppose actually. Oh yeah, because they've kind of shielded the infected in one little suburb in London, isn't it? At least think it is. Is it that?
Yeah, and you know that they guard this quarantine with soldiers everywhere, but yet two kids managed to slip by this highly guarded quarantine checkpoint. Okay. Are you serious?
Yeah, it's... suddenly I'm having to remember that movie and I really didn't like it. Yeah. So, when it comes to telling the story of the cure, actually it now makes sense that you can do it now, because what we see with both this movie and the previous, which suddenly does make the previous movie a little bit better actually, is the exploration of how society is trying to continue, whilst also, not going to say it's revising history, but there's like aspects that are like, we're not going to tell that, we're going to do this. And so immediately you're like, actually, yeah, that's why they're never going to find a cure, because no one's actually thinking realistically. And the only one is Kelson, because he's been stuck on his own with a pile of bones for several years. With his, what do you call it? Was like an ossuary, which I've never heard of as a name.
An ossuary, yeah. Well, apparently the definition of it is like a site as a preserving for human skeletal remains. So it is actually a thing. It's not just some made up term.
Okay.
So I suppose it's kind of like well, it kind of goes in with like the catacombs in France. You got these like wall to wall bones. I think so. I suppose it's kind of like that. I can't say I've ever been to an ossuary.
No. I mean, all of a sudden, I want to find this set.
I mean, if 28 years, like, whatever happens, then I might just become, like, well, not that I'm a doctor or anything like that, but I might make an ossuary just for shits and giggles.
So you're going to become the northern version of Kelson.
Yeah,
great.
Why not?
Just fantastic. Well, I mean, saying that, does that mean that you'll be going around pretending to be Satan, listening to a load of
Iron Maiden? Yeah, absolutely.
It is Iron Maiden. Obviously, this is me showing how little I know about hard rock. I was like, is it Aerosmith? Is it Guns N' Roses? No, it's Iron Maiden.
Oh yeah, well, you know, absolutely Guns N' Roses. Yeah, with Sweet Child of Mine in you know.
That could totally. Again, I don't know music. Just further proof of how inept I am with that.
But then again, like, I probably would not survive the first 5 minutes of 28 Years Later. I am not known for
running.
Yeah, exactly that.
In terms of Kelson as well, I mean, he's given, I think, even more to do in this movie than the last. Because I mean, I'm trying to actively think back to the last movie.
It was actually, like, the main focus of the film. Me, personally, I think
essentially.
It's Kelson.
Yeah. Because for him, he's still got the belief that, we can find a way to reverse this, his faith in science. And I did really smile, like, really hard, actually, when Samson says moon. Because I was waiting for the point where I was like, you're either going to get him to talk in some way, or it's just going to be like, so like a riff on Steve Rogers in the Marvel movies where he goes like, Avengers, and then like it cuts away. Again, being serious, not funny. So when he just casually just says moon as he's looking up, I was like, there is actually hope. This could actually get really interesting. I mean, like, I was already on board for the most part, and then as soon as that happened, I was like, right, okay, this is doing something I actually quite like.
Yeah.
I can understand why some would be a bit, I don't know. And seeing him actively, properly speaking at the end when he comes back to take Kelson away after he's been stabbed, which all of a sudden I'm sat there thinking, right, does that mean that there is a possibility that Kelson could potentially come back? I don't know, because I don't remember if he, I mean, again, it's been a few weeks since I saw the movie. I can't remember if we do actually see him die, or if he's taken away as he's like going on.
I'm pretty sure he dies, and then Samson comes in and takes his body as Saint Jimmy Crystal is crucified.
Which is so satisfying.
On an inverted crucifix, I may add, which apparently is a Christian symbol. I always thought that, like, the upside down crucifix was the sign of the devil, but hey, what do I know?
I could have sworn it was the sign of the devil, but then my experience with that is from episodes of Supernatural.
Oh, there we go. It's used in both Christian and anti-Christian contexts. There we go.
Excellent, as opposed to side Christian.
It's just
just like bits and bobs, please.
Well, if it was the other way, it would just look like a feckin' flag from, like, Sweden or Norway.
He's gonna get crucified on the Swedish flag, as you do.
Yeah, as you do.
Which is a nice segue into Jimmy and the Fingers. As the performer, I think Jack O'Connell's absolutely amazing in this movie. I mean, there's that moment when the gangs invaded someone's house, and they're just sat around, just like, minding their own business, and the rest of the family are just stood around, just being like, I don't know what to do.
It just feels so off, and then it just gets to a scene shortly after where it's like, oh, we'll leave, but we're gonna have to kill you. I was just like, oh god.
Because it's like, the one thing I didn't like from the original movie, and it's purely on just the way it's done, and it was with Christopher Eccleston's gang of army buddies. That whole subplot by the end was just sort of like, this is cruel, and I don't know how I like it. I can sort of understand why they're doing it, and it's reaffirmed in this movie of just, it's the classic thing now where it's like, it's not enough to just have zombies in your movie. We do need to add a few more bits in, that being the humans are just as bad. It's becoming a stereotype, but also, considering the way the world is these days, that's not really a stereotype, that's just how we are. And now what we've got is an entire group of people borderline born after the actual outbreak, so they don't know any better.
Which is really interesting, actually. Like,
I mean, I know Jimmy
They don't know anything other than the apocalypse, which is just great, to be honest.
It makes it even scarier for me, I think, because again,
the ones that are a bit like cuckoo.
Yeah, because they're learning about the world and history through someone whose vision is completely, and there's no sympathy for him at all. Which I like. I appreciate the fact they don't try and humanize him. He's the most inhuman human in this franchise, and I kind of love that.
Well, to be honest, I think it's when they're having the talk with Dr. Kelson, and obviously like Kelson's sort of like analysing him because he apparently hears the voice of Satan, and then you hear about like how his father brought all the infected into the church, and you just think, yeah, okay, I see why you're kind of just off the rails a bit.
Yeah, it is kind of. It makes sense why your brain's
become a
gone
complete
down
and
the
utter
drain.
psychopath.
No, but yeah, they do treat him as like an inhuman human. And I like the way he gets his comeuppance by the end. Very much in the inverse of how we would want to go. Makes sense. But I mean, that moment in the barn when like
that is some Terrifier.
Oh yeah, that was
God.
That I think funny enough, when I was watching it, I did even say to myself, "This is running the risk of doing a Terrifier 2, and I'll be really mad if they do because we've never done the Terrifier movies on this podcast, shocker, or Terrifier, because I do not like Terrifier 2, like I really don't. I think it's like just so needlessly gruesome.
I think this has like, I mean, it is needlessly brutal, but it's not as like, it's not to the extent of something like Terrifier 2. So I'm thankful. I mean, yeah, it is really gnarly actually, but it's sort of got like a line on it where it isn't really going over the top. It's just like, yeah, we're a gang of psychopaths and we're going to skin you because why not?
Yeah, well, even the one who...
And call it charity.
Yeah. Well, even that point when one of the gang gets killed by the woman who's been hiding up
on top
of
she's
the barn watching.
The last survivor. She's sat on top of the barn, and as one of the survivors is in a death match with the finger... There's just this like meat hook that comes sliding down into the back of her skull.
Yeah, and it's like that again, that ran the risk of just being like, let's just show off how gory we can be. No,
yeah,
actually,
and again, I was like, well, would she really be alive for like however long, considering the force of that hook's just went into the back of her head?
Yeah, you do sort of said that thing.
So I did see a lot of Terrifier 2 in it.
Yeah,
it just reminded me of that bloody scene in the bedroom, quite literally bloody scene in the bedroom where like this poor unfortunate soul has literally been skinned, scalped and everything and is still kicking.
Yeah. Just not needed, to be honest. But I mean, gravely, yeah, this movie isn't over the top with gore, even with it being like it deserves to be an 18, frankly. Like it absolutely deserves it.
I don't know how I feel. I mean, you're going to the beginning here, but I'd say when Spike's in the death match with his initiation and he stabs the guy in the artery, it's very B-movie like, and it's just something I'd expect to see.
There is a lot of blood,
Dead.
actually.
Like it's just splurting everywhere. It's like something out of the Evil Dead. I'm like, like surely this guy would be dead within a matter of seconds if he's done this much damage to his goddamn arteries.
Yeah, I do remember that bit and sort of being there thinking, you can shorten this just a little bit.
Yeah,
I just like, oh, you keep on going, right? Okay, right? Oh, we're still going, right? I think that was the point where I was like, right, I'm either going to be like, I'm going to feel as like the same as I did in the last movie, or something else is going to happen to really pique my interest. Gravely, it does. It's in, I think speaking on Spike as well, he doesn't get as much play in this than he did in the last movie. That one,
I feel like he's sidelined a little.
Yeah, which I suppose when you're telling two different stories, I think it kind of makes sense. And I think when you've introduced Jimmy and the Fingers at the end of the last movie, I need to spend time with this gang to essentially justify why you've done it the way you have. And gratefully it does. It does mean this. I might go back to the previous movie and kind of look at it a little bit differently and be actually, I don't find this as nonsensical. It's weird. It's an interesting choice. And, I greatly respect, especially writer Alex Garland, for actually sticking to his guns and just saying, "Yeah, look, I know people are going to be a bit weird on this. Let's just run with this." And you do run with it. It's weird. It's just, it would never be the choice I'd ever make, but then that's also quite good because then at least it's not the kind of movie that I'd want it to be.
I mean, like we can sort of crap on 28 Years Later, but I've got to give it credit where credit's due. It's something different.
Yes,
Like,
yeah. Both of these movies have been very
they're
different.
just totally different. Like,
Yeah,
I think when initially 28 Years Later came out, I thought, like, how are they actually going to do it? Because they can't really do it 28 years later, 28 days later, sorry. You've got to do something new. And new is what they do, even if it is a bit daft at times.
yeah. I mean, both have been daft. I mean, hell, even the original movie is daft at times. I mean, you've got an entire subplot with their little surrogate family on like a mini road trip. It's a bit silly, but it's just a bit of levity as well, which you need in a dark movie. So you kind of get the same with the previous movie, mostly with Spike's mom, with Jodie Comer. You could argue there's a bit of it here with Kelson and Samson, because Kelson's sort of like worldview has been shifted since it looks like Samson might actually find some way to revert back to being human. So he is going just a little bit loopy even before Jimmy rocks up and then decides, yeah, you know what, I'm just gonna go.
Let's make an Iron Maiden music video.
Which is interesting actually, because I didn't watch the trailers for this movie that much. I think I only saw the one, like literally once. And based on the poster with Kelson sort of like kneeling at sort of like the base of the bone temple, looking a little bit crazy, I genuinely thought if we were going to be seeing some kind of cure, there was going to be like a transfusion between him and Samson, so Samson would become more human and Kelson would just go completely insane. I thought that would also fit in with this franchise quite nicely.
Well, to be honest, I think that image, you speculate an awful lot. I mean, me personally, I saw it as Kelson's ossuary has literally become under siege, because it literally looks like it has.
Mm-hmm.
But in reality, it hasn't. Theories. And then when it actually gets to that scene and you hear that riff, and you're just like, oh, you absolutely did do what I think you're going to do, are you? I was overjoyed. That is like my favourite bit in that bloody film.
No, absolutely.
It's daft as hell, but I love it.
Yeah. And it is actually quite bittersweet when like you've got the entire gang, or what's left of them, talking to Kelson at the end as he's pretending to be Satan. Meanwhile, Spike's stood right there, still with his mask on. And eventually Kelson does clock the fact that it's Spike, and I thought that's actually, like, again, that is the only time they have between the two of them, really, and it's actually surprisingly sweet. It does become quite tragic when Kelson does, as far as we know, pass away before Samson takes him away. And then you've got Spike and is it Jimmy Inc., I think? Well, Kelly, as we now know her name.
Yeah, Jimmy Inc., because they've all got... I'm sure one of them is called Jimmy Shite.
Yes, I'm pretty sure it's the first... I'm pretty sure it's the one that gets stabbed in the artery in the first scene. So I do really like not necessarily friendship, but like the bonds between Kelly and Spike that like grows across the movie, because Kelly is the first one to be... She's starting to become
Well, she basically just
with...
calls it out. It's like, you know what it is? I just think he's full of it now.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I like seeing her sort of go along with it, trying to pick the pieces of when Jimmy's talking absolute garbage.
Yeah.
And I do, and it's nice that it's them two that survive and go out. And then we get the final scene, which all of us already knew that, you know, we've already been talking about spoilers, whatever. We already knew that Cillian Murphy was going to be in this movie very, very briefly, that would have led into him making a proper appearance in whatever the third movie's called.
Yeah.
And I like how, because I mean, the cinema was actually quite packed for me, actually. Which for any time it's like for an 18,
my screening, I think it was actually quite packed.
But I did like the fact that as soon as you get the sort of like the big wide shot going into the island with the cottage, and I could hear people going, everyone knew exactly what, and even I was like, oh, finally, we are actually doing this. And what you see is the return of Cillian Murphy as Jim from the first movie. Now with a daughter. I can't see Naomi Harris anywhere, so either she's busy, I don't know, doing some washing in the garden, or she's already gone. I don't know. We'll find out in part 3.
Yeah.
And you see Spike and Kelly busy running up, being chased by the infected. The only time, really, you see, well, bar one other scene of the infected actually chasing anyone in the movie. And then Jim's gonna get ready to go and help him, and then obviously we cut to black. Listen to that godforsaken score again.
Well, see, at least it wasn't overused. Like,
no, it isn't, because it was used, what, 3 or 4 times in... Yeah, exactly. It's used too many times in 28 weeks. I think it's used once in 28 years, and it's used once here. Speaking on the score, I mean, it was Hilda Gudnadottir. I'm never going to pronounce her name. I'm sorry, Hilda.
Yeah, it's impossible.
Yeah. Did the score for the 2 Jokers and Chernobyl and I think Sicario 2 and a few others. Terrific score. Really haunting, to be honest. Like, I was listening to it while I was writing my review, and I was like, ugh. Every time, like, give this woman a violin and she can make it sound like the most haunting thing you've ever heard in your life.
Yeah, she has got to just do like
every
horror
score
movie stuff.
Yeah,
even that. Every score. Do every score.
Give her a superhero score
else.
and just see how terrifying. Because I suppose. But yeah, I mean, like, coming out of, I mean, that's definitely one of my favorite moments in the movie, is that final scene, because it did make me actively say, right, I am actually interested in seeing where this is going to go.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a fair few scenes that I do really like in the movie. I mean, for you, was there any particular moments that you highlight your favorite that we haven't referenced already?
Well, obviously, I mean, there's obviously the Iron Maiden one, which I know I have mentioned, but that one was just brilliant. Freaking brilliant. No, I'd say... I'd probably say when Spike and Kelly just sort of come to agreement that Jimmy Crystal is not who he says he is, and the madness that comes with him, and you just think, like, at any time I'm expecting one of you to die at the hands of this absolute nut job.
Yeah.
But I'd also say, even though it's bizarre, and again, I still don't know how I feel, you know, the whole thing with Samson becoming more human as well, because again, it's different. Like, you know, you can't exactly have like a film where it's every other zombie film ever. You got to do something different.
Yeah, I mean, I've said that before when it comes to this particular genre, because I've not been kind to the fact that I'm not that big on this particular subgenre of horror movies, because for me they do all feel very alike, and they run the risk of feeling exactly the same. I like the more drama-filled ones, which this movie absolutely falls into, because, yeah, there's, like, 2 moments with the infected, one of them infecting one family, which I like how the father's the one that gets it. Cut to the next scene, and Kelly's just walking down, and then that father runs past and just absolutely wipes him out. Like, right, that's it, we're done with that story. I was like, brilliant.
That was
I like that a lot.
Assassin's Creed maneuvering, may I say.
Yeah, suddenly, doing, like, Red Dead Undead Nightmare, but with Assassin's Creed. Suddenly I'm there for that. I like that idea a lot. Not to go back to Red Dead, but, you know. It's been that I thoroughly enjoyed. But yeah, I think that wraps up our thoughts on 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple. Gratefully, a movie that we really like.
It's a good film.
It's a very good film. I mean, at the minute, granted, I've only seen, I think, 3 releases from 2026 officially, so at the minute it is at number 1, ahead of the what is it ahead of? Oh yeah, ahead of the Stranger Things behind the scenes thing, which really liked despite how damning it is, and then Primate, which was just bad monkey.
Oh well, I'll have to look at your review of that.
Let's just say I still wish that movie was called Furious George.
Furious George
had one job. Like, come on. I should stress, I'm sure someone else has made that joke already. It wasn't just me doing it.
Probably.
But damn it. One job. But yes, thank you very much for listening to our thoughts on 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple. I already know immediately that Dan's opened up a particular sheet of a spread variety to check what the hell
he
we're doing
hasn't
next.
Actually, but he's gonna now.
Oh, excellent. Okay, that's fine. there is actually a new Scream movie coming out at the end of this month.
Oh, yeah.
So to celebrate, we're talking about the original Scream. Because I'm not working on the assumption that that's going to be worth talking about, the new one at least. And we haven't done a proper deep dive into the original Scream. I think we did do on a previous incarnation of a podcast a couple of years ago, but I really can't remember.
Yeah. Might have done.
Yeah, it's been a long time, so we don't know. So we'll be back in a couple of weeks with a retrospective on Wes Craven's slasher classic Scream from 1996. So we'll see you then, and until then, it is goodbye from Dan.
Goodbye.
And it's goodbye from me. Goodbye.